Welcome to Real Talk, Indiana's premier talk show on real estate investing, where we talk each week about investing your money right here in Central Indiana. The tips, tricks, do's, and don'ts, brought to you by CIREIA, Central Indiana's oldest and largest real estate investing association. Hello there. My name is Vicki Perry, and I'm the Executive Director of CIREIA. We have over 600 members, all active in or learning how to be active in real estate here in the Indiana market. This radio show is available on FM 95.9, AM 950, podcast on YouTube, and www.cireia.org. Join us each week as we talk about how you can make your money more active with better returns and help the community that you live in with real estate done the right way. Now, on with the show.
Real Talk, the only local real estate investing radio show where active investors discuss real estate investing done the right way every Saturday and Sunday from noon until 1 p.m. I'm Ron Watson, president of the board of directors of CIREIA and your host for the program. Today we'll be discussing headlines that are affecting the real estate investing world, and you can check out how to contact each of our co-hosts on our website at cireia.club under the resources tab. Before we begin, I want to thank the Fox 59 Digital team for allowing us to record this program in their podcast studios. We really appreciate their assistance. And joining me today are three of the top investors in Central Indiana. First, we have Dave Short with Century 21 Sheets. Dave's an investor, realtor, coach, mentor, and one of the most sought-after rehabbers in Central Indiana. Welcome back, Dave.
Great to be here.
Also here today is Brian Snyder, operations manager for Simple Wholesaling, one of the largest wholesaling companies in the state. Welcome again, Brian.
Hello, thanks, Ron.
And welcome back, Sterling Davis, owner of Athosity Property Management, managing over 500 doors in Central Indiana and vice president of the board of directors for CIREIA. Welcome back, Sterling.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Glad everybody's back in the studio today. And before we get started on this week's show, I wanted to make sure everyone saw the announcement that CIREIA is moving into its own building starting May 1st. It's at 6767 East Washington Street, just east of Irvington, and will be in partnership with Outhouse Co-work Office Space and Dave Short, one of our hosts. So Dave, why don't you hit a couple high notes on the transition just to give everybody an idea of the timetable for rehabs and meetings and that kind of thing, if you can.
Well, we've been, just a little background, we've been negotiating for this building and been under contract for the last 90 days, and we finally got it closed this past week, and we've initially started rehabbing on the building to create a conference center for CIREIA and several meeting spaces. And in the front part of our building is going to be a co-working space. And you know, our goal is to try to make this the largest real estate incubator in the city of Indianapolis. So we think we're on schedule to do that, and it's going to be an awesome facility that will supplement and aid Irvington also. So we're having our first meeting. It will be a kind of a boots tour this first Thursday in May, and people can come out and see the building, and we'll have hot dogs and drinks for CIREIA members. And
Sterling got his attention there and said,
yes, that's Sterling's attention. So, but we're all really, really excited about this building, and it's a 13,000 square foot building that's going to be able to house 800 of our members.
Yeah, that's great. I was over there the other day, and it is exciting. We've been looking at this for a while, and it's got a lot of potential. So it'll be interesting to see how we bring it all together. But everybody needs to come out and expect it won't be as luxurious as the Broadmoor was the first couple meetings, but it's going to be nice at the end of the day. So we're really excited about it, and definitely appreciate Dave's really spearheading that whole effort to get that building under our control so we can get in there and start working on it. So I also wanted to just mention a couple of things. The main thrust of this show is going to be talking about how to find properties and making real estate investing and how to negotiate a deal. But we're going to get caught up on a couple of headlines first. Some of them are national, some are local. And one of the local things that I thought would really make sense to mention first is, if you're not aware, CIREIA belongs to Indiana State REIA, and our members were part of the success of passing a bill in this legislative session. There's over 15 municipalities in Indiana that enacted regulations over the past couple of years requiring landlords to pay the utilities for tenants.
Boo.
Exactly. Who didn't pay their bills. So believe it or not, and I suppose they have reasons, right? They want money, I guess. But there was no way for landlord to monitor the payment schedule with utility companies or enforce payment. So that seemed like a problem for us. Last summer, a group of landlords in Bargersville hired Jeff Jenks law firm to fight this regulation, and that evolved into an all-out call to action for legislation, not making landlords be the collection agents for deadbeat tenants. And this legislative session, Bill 1347, passed and will go into effect July 1st, 2019, prohibiting municipalities to continue these regulations. And this is hugely important because without Indiana State REIA working with Woody Burton, Indiana State Representative, and others, this bill would not have passed. I know, Sterling, you might have a comment about that since you're involved with managing a lot of properties. This is a big deal for us, right?
Oh, it's a huge deal. I mean, as a landlord, as a property manager, I think what it said in the article about not being the collection agency for these utility companies and municipalities is the most important thing, right? Like, if you want people to pay their bills, that is not my responsibility. My responsibility is for them to pay the rent. You know,
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
So I'm in the business of rent management and things, right? So I think it's very important what Indiana State REIA and Jeff Jenks law firm have done, because it just shows what we can do as a united front as well, right? So this is another case of why we have to stay united, and we have to support things like CIREIA and Indiana State REIA, because we have to be able to have somebody there fighting for us. Because this is a one bill that could have just passed through if we didn't have somebody fighting on it.
Right, and I imagine that's what happened in other cities around the country. Nobody was paying attention. All of a sudden, boom.
And this isn't just a benefit for homeowners. This actually is also a benefit for tenants, because now the good tenants won't be punished for paying their utilities on time, and they won't be renting properties that have to include utilities to make sure they're paid. So this is a big, this is a big deal for tenants also.
Yeah. Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say that exactly right. I mean, I think a lot of times these issues the ramifications are not thought through fully. And like you said, if I'm a landlord and I know that I have to deal with that, I'm going to have to build that into my costs. So those landlords or those tenants that would have ordinarily paid the utilities are not going to be benefiting from that. So I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going to just touch on. It's like, as a buy and hold investor, like, that's something we were contemplating on what does this do? Do we have to increase the security deposit to make sure it covers for some of these things that we might have to take out of our pocket or anything too? And Sterling, I just want to kind of ask you on this, if you saw an effect of basically, as we saw as we were trying to sell some of our rental properties, we saw some people like maybe holding off on purchasing some of these because they were waiting to see what was going to happen with this as they're in the loop. Did you kind of see any of that from your end?
Yeah, I think you have to, right? Like, I tell people all the time, 2 years ago, we were going to buy a 48-unit in Bargersville. And, when this came up, I was really almost like, oh, man, was that going to be a big mistake? Because why this really matters is that changes everything. It changes your performance. Utility bills are already bad, right? Like, I have landlords that put utilities in their own name, and the problem with it is the utility services and the providers are antiquated. So a lot of times what happens is, if you have a bill, you might not get your final bill for 2 to 3 months. So that person's long gone.
Exactly.
And now you're saying, I have to pay for it. I don't, I don't really have a connection with this person.
Right. Yeah. It does seem wholly unfair. But so the other thing I thought was really cool, and you touched on this briefly, was the fact that it's really the first time that Indiana State REIA and the folks that are real estate investors in Central Indiana had an impact on a legislative issue. And that's great, because that's really the whole purpose of Indiana State REIA, is to try to influence those kinds of things and have a voice in these issues when they come up.
Yeah, I mean, what we began this show with is talked about the growth of CIREIA and the ability of what Indiana State REIA is doing. Yeah. And I think what we ask ourselves is, and we can say, is that we're better today than we was years past, right? And I think that's why I am invested in CIREIA. I'm invested in Indiana State REIA, is because it's an institution that you see the growth of, right? They're been part of building up an industry, and it has to have organizations like this, because at the end of the day, as a property manager, I can't stay on top of all this. I have to have an ally inside of this, like Indiana State.
Yeah, somebody that's out there paying attention and keeping track of that. That's a great point. I also wanted to talk about briefly a couple of articles that mention real estate investing and what's going on in the market in general. One of these articles mentions delinquency and foreclosure rates are the lowest in 20 years. That's very interesting. It lists this article is from National REIA, Real Estate Investing Today, and it was actually April 15th that this article came out. It says that the rates include all home loans 30 days or more past due and includes those in foreclosure, and that no state logged an annual gain in its serious delinquency or foreclosure rate, except I think North Dakota posted a slight gain. And it lists on this sheet here the top states with the highest loan rates or lowest rate of mortgage rates at least 30 days past due, and those that are doing much better. Interesting that it says Mississippi, Louisiana, New York are the ones that are probably on the higher end of the scale. Colorado, Oregon, and Washington are on the low end of the scale. Is that something you see here in Central Indiana as well, Dave? The mortgage, the delinquency rates are lower here. You see that every day.
Delinquency rates are really low right here, and part of the thing that I can directly tie it to is the number of properties that we see on the sheriff's sale every month, and the number we see in Hamilton County. Just like as investors now, we really don't go to Hamilton County anymore because there's just so few foreclosures that's going through every 2 weeks when they have a sale. Or Marion County is kind of the same way. 2 months ago, we had the lowest number of units go through the foreclosure process. It was about 120 listed, and of those, only about 80 actually went through. And comparing that 4 years ago, we would look at 400 or 450 units going through every month.
Yeah.
And even 7 years ago, it was upwards of 700 units going through every 30 days in that. So yeah, big difference.
How does that affect, Dave, when it comes down to, and maybe Brian, you can touch on it, when it comes down to like the wholesaling as an investor, these delinquency rates of mortgage and things like that?
Well, I think it's just something that, like as Dave was touching on, a few years ago, you were able to go to the sheriff's sale and still get really good deals and things like that. There was a plethora. So like you had your hedge funds and stuff still buying up what they need to. Then the wholesaler could still get some deals there. But now you actually have to get creative in how you're finding those deals. So we don't really go to sheriff's sales much anymore at all, just because we haven't had any luck with them. So we had to find these new creative things like the direct mail and door knocking, all that stuff, which is kind of what we're going to get into today.
Yeah, exactly.
So as far as like from our standpoint, it's definitely affected that because those houses aren't there on the sheriff's sale.
Yeah, normally, if we would do, let's just use the number 40 flips a year, I would typically get 20 of those from sheriff's sale opportunities around Central Indiana. Where today, I'm lucky to buy 6 properties a year at sheriff's sales. So, one of the groups that we meet with, the CIREIA groups, is, I told our investors or the people that want to find other product, we've been fortunate enough to get about 19 flips so far this year, and they come from 14 different sources.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about these different sources today.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the other thing is, I wonder if we talked in shows past about, is it something to this delinquency of mortgages and things? And I think about the growth, the job growth in Indianapolis, right? Like the job growth right now in Indianapolis and the corporations that are moving here are just phenomenal.
Right.
I wonder how much of that is tied into when you see these numbers of delinquency.
Yeah.
Well, it's a much better quality buyer out there today, but that's required by the lender. 5-6 years ago, anybody could get a loan. And there was there was loans done at 100%. There was loans done at 120% of appraised value out in the marketplace with with no, the lenders were not looking at even credit scores. You know, they were barely
Oh,
checking.
wait, you have a job? Okay. Oh, you're getting a job.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were just, loans were designed for failure 5, 6, 7 years ago. So,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I was just reading an article just about all that Indiana has to do, like, to be, and that's why so many times we talk on this radio show about just the greatness of Indianapolis areas, our Fishers, our Carmels, and things like that. And it's not surprising that the delinquency rates are at an all-time low, as well as we have to talk on our radio show about being creative when it comes to finding deals.
Yeah, so it's a great topic for this program today. And I should have waited on this particular article till the end, because I did want to mention one more thing, and then we'll get.
That was your lead-in, Ron.
It was. I blew the lead. I'm not a professional, obviously. So, well, the other article that we briefly wanted to mention, we've talked about this also on the show before, which is opportunity zones. According to new research from Zillow, real estate investors appear to be flocking to opportunity zones. The data show that areas designated as opportunity zones saw a surge in sale prices since that designation was made, which they say is an early sign that investors are eager for the tax breaks. Now, that seems obvious to me. I'm always eager for tax breaks, and I know we've talked about some of those and around the city of Indianapolis that have been designated as opportunity zones. And Dave, you've taken advantage of some of those, right?
well, that's one of the beauty about the office building that we purchased for CIREIA.
Yeah.
It's actually in the opportunity zone.
Nice.
So we're putting our investment where, it's the greatest benefit for the community and for CIREIA. So, and we're learning more and more about it, which you can report on the show, in the weeks to come, as far as the advantages. And, as you know, I'm not a buy and hold guy. I normally am a flip guy. So this project is going to be a buy and hold simply because of the opportunity and investment that we have here. I mean, the nutshell for us is this property is that if we hold it for 10 years, which we certainly anticipate doing, and if this property is ever sold at that point, our taxes, our capital gain tax will be 0.
Wow.
So that's pretty
That's
impressive.
a big incentive.
It's a big incentive for.
Yeah, especially in an area like Irvington,
Right.
where the values are going to continue to go up, and you're just making some awesome improvements to this property. So I mean, you're looking at that as a total. I mean, that's great when it comes to this.
Yeah, I think the thing is, when I think of opportunity zones and why it works, opportunity zones have to, it only works as much as people believe that it works. I don't know if that makes sense, right? Like, so
You have to believe.
you have to believe that opportunity zones will benefit and grow, or it just doesn't grow that neighborhood, right? Like, and I think it's a perception in Indiana. I think really has taken off. Historically, I've been looking at other places, it hasn't grown like it's doing in Indiana. So I think it's a snowball effect of all the things that we've talked about, all the things of our investors really believing in Indianapolis, plus the opportunity zone has led to this, right? Because
Well, the opportunity zone for Indianapolis is going to hit on a couple areas, and people who are familiar with Irvington and the east side, there's two what we would call distressed pieces of property that the opportunity zone will add a lot to this. Irvington Plaza is another one that's been targeted now by the city and by Irvington to get redeveloped, and there could be upwards of $30 million spent in that specific area, and the investors are very willing to come in to do that property. They just tore down the old International Harvester on Brookville Road, which is a large acreage site too, that will be an opportunity that investors will not shy away from because it is large and it has good stability that you can't find in these kind of locations now. So people, I think, will go after these big parcels of ground in the future.
Yeah, and just as from the single family investment standpoint, I mean, we're marketing all of our properties, whether they're in single family properties, whether they're in opportunity zones or not, because you have these big projects that are going on that are bringing all that value. So all the single family homes are going to see that value increase as well. And I mean, we have some particular just investors that are only looking for things in opportunity zones right now.
Yeah, because you believe, like, you're like, oh man, all right. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's, I don't want to be.
No, you're right. The
I don't wanna
perception
discount it.
definitely helps.
It's like,
no
it's like,
question.
oh yeah, opportunity zones. I don't even know if half the investors understand
What it means or
opportunity
whatever.
zone
It's
Yeah.
still a little bit of a
mean.
buzzword right
Like,
now.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
it
you know,
is.
it
It
just
is.
feels like these dudes are just like, yeah, do you have anything in the opportunity zone, please? It's like,
Right.
yeah, I got it.
Fountain Square opportunities.
Yeah,
It's just what it is.
like,
Yeah.
so, but I think it's wonderful what Dave was saying though, is you can get so with these buildings and things, you start looking for forced appreciation. It's there, like, you know what I mean, especially with these bigger projects.
So we're going to take a quick break here. I promise we're going to get back to how to find deals now that we've set that up properly. So we'll take a quick break, a couple messages, and we'll be right back.
Hello to all our CIREIA and Freedom 95 listeners. Fortunately, the weather is turning nicer. Unfortunately, now here come the bugs. Termites are swarming this time of the year. A lot of people get them confused with flying ants. Termites are black and have wings and very similar to flying ants. A termite is more elongated without a pinched waist, where ants do have a pinched waist. And of course, termites can do a substantial amount of damage to your home or business. The termite swarmer's job is to leave the colony and start new colonies. The workers never leave, they only just keep on eating. So for all your pest control needs, give us a call at Bugs Be Gone at 317-945-2965 or visit us at bugsbegone.net. That's BUGS, just the letter B, GONE.net, or find us on CIREIA.club for your premium discounts.
At Trader's Mill Grill and Bar, we are redefining the sports bar experience. We're on the northwest side of Indy at 5650 West 86th Street in the Traders Point shopping complex. With more than 20 HD TVs and 2 113-inch big screens for all the games. But at Trader's Mill, you don't have to be a sports fan to have a good time. We have a full menu of fresh, scratch-made food, including salad, steaks, sandwiches, pizza, and more. Enjoy excellent service while having a drink at our full-service bar in a clean, comfortable environment. We're open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. And welcome back to the program. I'm Ron Watson, President of the Board of Directors of CIREIA and your host for the program. And joining me today, Dave Short with Century 21 Sheets, Sterling Davis, Athosity Property Management, and Brian Snyder, Operations Manager for Simple Wholesaling. And I wanted to get back to that topic that we alluded to before the break, which was how to find deals. I know the folks at Simple Wholesaling do that, and they've perfected that process, and they're very creative. And I saw Brett do a presentation once about that topic. And I thought, man, these guys are really good because there's some really guerrilla marketing stuff that they're doing. I mean, it's really amazing. So, Brian, you want to maybe give us some of your thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, we can kind of jump into this, and definitely haven't perfected it, but I've made a lot of mistakes and learned from it.
That's part of the deal, yeah.
Yeah, I just think, honestly, we were kind of talking earlier in the show that, 3-4 years ago, it was really easy to go to share sales and pick up a lot of properties, or even just find, great investment properties on the MLS or
Right.
from realtors and stuff. And you can still find really good deals doing that. But we're in the age now where the market is just so competitive that we need to just be creative in how we're finding properties. So I'm just going to list off some things that we can kind of do, and we can do any kind of direct mail, sending out letters to actual occupants of the homes, whether they're living there or not, or vacant properties. You can send them to the owners by looking up those numbers and figuring that out. So you can send postcards. Yellow Letters is a really good company that does that. There's also some local companies that send out letters. You can drive for dollars. You can use the Deal Machine app, which is a great way to drive for dollars. We'll kind of get in a little bit more to some of these here in a bit, but you can list our properties on the CIREIA website. Is always a good thing as well. We're just putting out there by networking at CIREIA on where what you're looking for, and what kind of properties you need to find. Just by networking that way. You can go door knocking.
You should probably bring your sheet though. Like,
Yeah.
Ron will yell at you if you come. And just
Without
announce it.
information
Yeah.
about your property. That's right.
So yes, so you can do some door knocking just by driving around. You might leave like a little door hanger on there or something. You can always drive around, look for signs in the yards that are for sale by owner. One of the things I like to do as well with that is look for signs in the windows that say for rent, because obviously that landlord has a house right now that is not rented, so possibly is this something they want to sell. You can list ads on Craigslist for what you're looking for, or just search Craigslist looking for properties that way. You can do Facebook marketing, networking on Facebook, just going around town. I always like to tell people too, just networking in general. If you're at Trader's Mill Grill having a beer,
Yes,
talk about what you're
that's a
looking,
good
talk about
idea.
what you're doing, what you're looking for.
We
It's
have that
amazing
all the
how
time.
you have
People
conversations
come-
that pop up. Yeah.
Exactly,
So,
all the time it happens.
you know, you can network with other wholesalers, talk to them. You can buy from them all the time. We do as well, and then also build relationships with realtors and look for properties on the MLS. So, I mean, that's a lot of
Yeah, so I got a
good
couple
stuff,
questions
but
for
we
you.
go
No,
into
what
this,
you
yeah.
just said is it's really good stuff, right? And if people are listening out there, they should understand that what you guys have developed is after a lot of time, energy, and effort, trial and error to figure out what works, right? Is there? This may be an obvious question, but I want to ask first. So, when you guys were doing this, say several years ago versus now, do you need to have more tools in the tool belt to find deals than you did before?
Yeah,
and we kind of
definitely.
alluded to
And-
that before, but
Yeah, and we can kind of just talk about some of these. So one of the the main ones I think a lot of people are doing, and probably the most popular thing that came after when people realized that hey, the market's getting a little too competitive.
yeah,
The first one to come around was direct mail.
Mhm.
So sending letters, sending postcards out to properties that basically you feel like maybe they are on the tax sale list, maybe they there's a foreclosure, maybe we've mailed to people that just got divorced, people that just all kinds of scenarios, people that have gone to jail, and you can mail to just about
interesting.
any kind of scenario. You can look up, go to listsource.com,
Yeah, yeah.
and you can basically find a list for whatever kind of people you want to
Right.
target and whatever people you want to whatever you want to mail to. But a lot of times,
Hey, buddy, I see that you have 7 to life. I don't think you're going to need that house.
you need that property.
That mailer out. It's actually worked
Yeah,
fairly
Is
decent.
that right?
Was that on
Yeah.
a yellow letter, or was that?
So, but yeah, I would just kind of say with that, a lot of times I see a lot of people that want to do direct mail,
Mhm.
and they might send out, they might spend a pretty good, because it does cost money to do
Sure,
this. They
yeah.
might spend, $1,000 or $5,000 to
Mhm.
send out a mailer. And then they might not get some, you get a lot of phone calls back. Number one, you got to be ready, prepared for that. A lot of people yelling at you.
Why are you
a lot of
sending me this?
Words and
Yeah.
those kind of things. But so you need to be prepared for all the phone calls you come in for how many you send out.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people get frustrated and they just give up right away because they send out a mailer and then they don't get anything from it.
Yeah.
They might get a couple phone calls that are legit,
Right.
but they don't get any deals from it. But honestly, when we're sending out mailers, it's usually not until the 5th or 6th mailer that these
Mhm.
people get that they're actually calling us with they're ready to sell now, and they've seen
Yeah.
that we're legit and stuff. And we do a couple of little things. The first one we always send out is a postcard, just because the least expensive one.
Mhm.
But then we can basically take that, and if you get it returned to us, then we can take it off our list, so we're not wasting money by sending the other mailers out there. So,
Yeah.
but we'll send out a postcard. We'll send out a business letter, a personal letter, one that looks like it's written by a kid that
Yeah.
the parents want to buy the house.
Get
We'll send out
attention,
something that looks
right?
like a wedding invitation. So there's all kinds of stuff. There's one company, we have not done this one, but I think this is pretty funny. There's one company that sends one out there. It's a pink envelope, smells like perfume, has
Ah.
glitter on it. It's always addressed to the husband.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the wife is always going to
creates
open that.
so when that divorce happens,
No,
then
exactly.
they're creating an opportunity.
Win-win.
So,
whatever you do, you're saying is repetition is
definitely it's
And-
repetition,
yeah.
the follow up,
Persistence,
being able to
yeah.
take on
Yeah.
that basically able to take on the capacity for any of those phone calls that are coming in. As well. So yeah, direct mail is kind of one of the first things to come along. One of the
Sterling
easiest-
has a question for you about that.
Yeah, I have a question when it comes down to it. I see you talked about consistency. Is there a strategy when it comes down to specific areas? Like I've seen some people that just don't have a strategy. They're like, all right, we'll go to Marion County and then we'll go to Hendricks and then we'll move over to and then I know some people that are more Lawrence. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a
Yeah, I think
recommendation
it's-
on the approach?
Yeah, well, I think it's one thing too is if you're starting off, especially I would say just focus on one area. Pick one area out, one zip code, or even zip codes are pretty big. I even pick out a certain area in that zip code to start off and just mail to them, or whatever. If you're driving for dollars, that's the same way. Just pick one area and focus on that at one point. When we got into the data of looking at some of the places we were mailing to, we realized that there were some zip codes that we'd been mailing to for a year or two that we had never got a deal in.
Hmm.
So obviously we were just basically throwing that money away. So that's kind of along with that of the follow up and the consistency, all that, of being able to track that data and look at all that stuff and take it serious, because anytime you're mailing to a certain area, you're either gaining money or losing money. You have to look at it that way. But yeah, I would say just pick a certain area and really focus on that. So if you're looking to, hey, I want to try to wholesale some really good rental properties, you're going to say, hey, I want to go to Lawrence, and that's where I'm going to look. If you're looking for some, flip opportunities, you're going to go down to the downtown towards the Windsor Park and Woodard Place and stuff like that. to see if you can find anything. So yeah, I'd say kind of focus on that when you're hitting up those certain zip codes.
Tell me about the term that I used to hear all the time is bandit signs. Do you do them, and what is it, first of all, and do you still do those?
So yeah, bandit signs are basically just kind of putting, a little note on whether just, a piece of cardboard or you're getting them professionally done or whatever. But you'll see a lot of them all over town say, hey, we buy houses, usually stuck on telephone poles or in somebody's yard. We don't do as many bandit signs anymore, just because since we actually, when we're wholesaling, we're not assigning contracts. We actually buy the property, so we own all of our properties. So we put all of our bandit signs in the property that we own. So they're all over town, and we're doing that. But they basically just say, so they more look like the house for sale or for sale by owner type signs of what we're doing. But yeah,
bandit signs aren't illegal, or
that's tricky. So I don't. So and I'm not a lawyer or a
ordinance right
so I'm
now.
not sure about that.
Right.
But I do know that people are doing them. People are being successful with bandit signs. They're getting calls back from bandit signs around town and just say that, hey, we buy houses with a phone number and stuff on. But a lot of the numbers you want to put on there are probably like a Google business number or something like that, so it's not actually tied to your personal accounts or anything. Also, something with that is, because a lot of times if you put up a bandit sign, it will get taken down by somebody, whether it's just a neighbor or maybe somebody that's Carmel Police or something along those lines. And I've honestly heard from a lot of people that do bandit signs and have been successful bandit signs. It's not the ones that people are spending a lot of money on that are getting professionally done. It's literally just like the piece of poster board or cardboard that has like a real simple sign on there, a real simple like thing on there, and just put it on a telephone pole, and those are the ones that have really been
Maybe they
successful.
look more legitimate or something.
So a newbie is, that's a really fairly inexpensive way that they could try to break into a wholesaling type business.
Yeah, 100%.
Or find flips for themselves.
I've seen people put like the bandit signs and stuff on like vacant, boarded up houses, and it's not their house. And they're just like put it on the wood that's there and stuff. I'm like, man, that's all fun until like they go.
Yeah, I'm not recommend trespassing.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
like, man, these dudes are fearless. No, but that's awesome, because I think with hearing, I've toured with wholesaling and things, but having an expert, like simple wholesaling is be able to talk to and communicate.
Yeah, and just just as we're talking about like kind of some of the bandit signs and kind of an easy thing that a newbie can do, just a couple other really expensive things are honestly, and I think it's the best thing for any person that is looking to break into just the wholesaling business or the real estate investing business, is just driving for dollars. Just driving around. So that, number one, you're getting to understand the neighborhood. You're getting to know what you're looking at, what you're investing in, and then you're understanding what the house, like where the house actually is, what's around and stuff. But when you're driving around, you're just looking for those houses that, like, hey, is it boarded up? Is the grass overgrown? Does it look vacant? Any of those things, and then you can basically just write down the address. There's some software out there you can do what's called skip tracing. If you put the address in there, you can get it skip traced, and basically you would receive the number of the owner, so that you could call that owner, or you could just mail directly to that house and see if you could get a response back from that. Also, something the Deal Machine app is David Lecco. He's a local guy here in Indianapolis. That he's created this app basically where you can drive for $1. You take a photo of the house, and then just for $1, you basically put it in there, and they'll give you all the information from the owner. Basically, everything that you need to be able to mail to them, to be able to call them or whatever it may be. And they actually have a system where you can send postcards out with it, like another $1 and stuff. So that's just kind of an inexpensive way as well. So I know we're running short. We can get some stuff.
That's some really
money too.
Absolutely, that's some really good stuff. And by the way, he's a CIREIA affiliate. I think you mentioned that, but that means that he works with us, and he's doing some very interesting things. I love all the stuff you're talking about. I want to talk about more how you guys do that, and Dave, I'd like to get your perspective too, because you're looking at it from a little different angle, but you're still trying to find deals. Let's take a quick break here, and after this message, we will be right back.
Do you have a house that you want to sell, but you don't want to fix it up before you sell it? Or you need the cash quickly? Or you just inherited Aunt Susie's house and don't know what to do with it? That's what Dave Short does. He buys houses so you can get on with your life. He pays cash, closes quickly, and buys in all Central Indiana. For details, call Dave at 317-590-4499 or email Dave at dshort@c21sheets.com. That's spelled C21SCHEETZ.com.
Are you looking for a career change or a life change? That is the mission behind Simple Wholesaling, the leading provider of discounted properties in Indianapolis. Simple Wholesaling is all about making the process simple for buyers of properties, sellers of properties, and members of the Central Indiana community who want to generate wealth, free up time, and then help you use that wealth and freedom to make a difference in the world. Check them out at www.simplewholesaling.com or email Brian@simplewholesaling.com or call 317-494-7211.
Is this you? You've heard about landlording and you love the idea of a steady stream of income from real estate, but you're concerned about tackling the 2 a.m. calls and worrying about renters who don't pay their rent on time? That's where the pros at Ethosity Property Management take the hassle out of investing for you. They handle the toilets and tenants for over 300 local rentals and are happy to help you with yours. Call Sterling at 888-212-3764 or check out www.ethosity, that's ETHOSITYPM.com.
And welcome back to the program. My name is Ron Watson, President of the Board of Directors of CIREIA, and the host for the program today. We are joined in the studio by Dave Short, Century 21 Sheets, Brian Snyder from Simple Wholesaling, and Sterling Davis of Ethosity Property Management. I know you've been taking a lot of notes over there, Sterling, so that's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry, I think my mic was turned off.
That's okay. That's okay. No, so anyway, we were talking to Brian about some of the really interesting things they're doing to generate deals, and I know you had some other things you want to talk about that maybe cost a little bit of money, but you want to talk some more about that?
And there's some other stuff as you start to do a couple deals, and you're looking for more and more properties, and you want to go from that 1 or 2 deals a month up to 5 or 10 or whatever it may be. There's some stuff that you can definitely do that can help that out. One of the things is just putting ads out there on Facebook to let people know that you're looking for houses, what you're interested in. And you can, build a big network through Facebook and, have a lot of friends and stuff put out that way. But you can also just boost post, or you can hire a company to actually do marketing for you on Facebook. So, you get a little more activity on there, which is great. We do a lot of, we do pay-per-click ads as well, where we pay a company to basically, if you're searching on Home Depot or Lowe's or something local like that, there's a pretty good chance that, one of our ads might pop up, say, Simple Wholesaling or Simple Quarters is actually what the company is that we buy under. But Simple Quarters, we buy houses. Or I know Ben Grice does a lot of that, so Ben buys houses. You see a lot of his on there.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of local people are doing some of the pay-per-click ads as well. We also work with a company to do Google AdWords. So whenever anybody puts in there, I need to sell my house in Indy fast or something like that, ours names is one of the first ones that pops up on Google.
What does ads like that cost? I mean, I know it's a wide open question, but
it's actually, and I don't have the numbers for it. So our systems marketing guy takes care of that, Alex. And if you have any questions for him, actually, you can reach out to him at alex@simplewholesaling.com. He's more than happy to help you out with any of his questions. But it's not as expensive as what I kind of originally thought. It's not nearly as expensive as like direct mail or anything like that. Direct mail is definitely our biggest expense. I think we do most of our, as far as Google AdWords, pay-per-click ads, I think for the most part, a month we might spend $5,000 on that. So we've gone up to like over 10 and stuff like that. We didn't see the gain in the deals that we did, but I think we're somewhere around $5,000 a month on that right now.
When you start looking at, because you guys have this dynamic podcast, you have your meetup that everyone raves over and stuff, and you have everyone from experienced wholesalers to novice that come here. When you see these novice that come into like starting off with driving for dollars and things, when do you start seeing them turn it into a business, right? Like, how does that progression look like with coming from this driving for dollars to actually, I'm Simple Wholesaling now?
Yeah. Honestly, too, it's pretty cool to see that progression of somebody. We've had a few people that have gone to our meetup and kind of has JV done some deals with it. They start off as a bird dog and then kind of graduated to JV into doing some deals with us, and then all of a sudden they're out there wholesaling on their own. And honestly, one of the things I see from that a lot, the people that I know make it are the ones that right away when I met with them, I knew they were honest people and they had integrity and they were going to kind of do what they said they wanted to do. It's amazing. All the podcasts that we do and even the radio show and networking through CIREIA, all the people you talk to, it's amazing how much that comes up of, you need to start with your core values and come up with that first, and then make sure you know who you are as a business. Don't stay on that straight line. Don't deviate from who you are and what your business is going to be and stuff. So it's usually the people that maybe kind of they'll pick up another whole. All of a sudden they'll send me a deal from like New Paradox or from Ben and stuff like that. Then I know it's not their deal, and so there's people that are starting to do things like that we know, like, hey, this is probably somebody that's going to really make it, and I don't really know if we need to be aligned with them and stuff. So, yeah, but I mean, that kind of goes along too with like being able to have a podcast and being able to, put on a meetup. Those are things that have been great branding tools for us of how we get a lot of deals sent to us because people know us, they're familiar with us, they can. They hear Brett or Brian, they feel like they've heard us before, so I have no problem sending them a property because I feel like I know them.
I mean, I was talking to an investor the other day. This is not to gas you guys, but the constant thing that I hear is that simple wholesaling, they're unapologetically Christian. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're unapologetically like are faithful guys, right? Like, you know what I mean? And I think as investors in out-of-state, OOS, people that are investing in Indianapolis, they want to know that they're doing it with people that are care, you know what I mean, that are trustworthy and they have integrity, and I mean, that's kudos to you. Like, that's as much as a compliment I'm giving you today. But
that's it. No
that's
more.
it. No more. No, but I think that says something to not when you're not in the room, but who is talking on your behalf when you're out of the room. Right? Like, I mean, who's the one saying, "Hey, simple wholesaling does it."
Yeah, well, that's how we've been more than blessed with what we've been able to do with this business, and that's doing things like the meetup, being able to work with other wholesalers or just other investors. That's our way to give back. And so we're somebody that when you come to us and you have a deal, we're not going to steal it from you. We're going to like give you a legit access, like, hey, like, I don't know if we can't buy this right now, but we'll buy this lead from you. If you want to be a bird dog, or hey, let's just JV on this and see how it works out first, or whatever it may be. So we're going to be like, well. No, it's already in our system. We already have it. We're not going to do that. So, yeah.
Well, I think I'll say this and I'll shut up. Right? I thought
you can give me another compliment.
Yeah,
You can get one more. Go ahead.
One more. No, but I thought it was interesting when I first started working with Simple Wholesaling was they didn't own the investor, right? Like, so an investor would come to them and say it's my client or their client. They're like, hey, Sterling, this guy, he wants to invest, and then he goes away. They're like, hey, I mean, if it's your client, we pay you for it. If it came from us, we don't own these people. You know what I mean? We're selling houses. And just that level of integrity, where some people where they get upset is like they feel like they own the investor that comes and buys. And I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, you'll get some people or some wholesalers who's like, well, I'm going to bring you a buyer, but every time you sell to them, like, even if it's 5 years from now, I want 5%. No,
Right.
like, that's not, We'll do deals together. It'll work out and stuff.
You know what? You really touched on a good point, though, Sterling. And there's this perception that I think that's out there that's not true, but that this is all about get rich quick, right? And I think what the folks at Simple Wholesaling have proven, and you as well, and Dave as well, is that you operate for the long term, and you do it the right way, and you treat people fairly and professionally, and that's just going to help you succeed, and it's going to help them succeed, and because the next deal that you want to do, maybe with that same guy, right? And he's not going to help you if you try to take advantage of him, and vice versa, right? So it's important. I mean, it may sound like a simple thing, but it's a really good point.
Yeah, and I think anybody in this business, everybody in this room will tell you that whatever you're doing, whatever space you're in the real estate investing world, it's hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of the gurus are out there, and they're kind of showing that, it's easy.
Yeah, it makes it seem like it's easy.
Money.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just it's not the case.
It's not a fair
You want to do
you
real
have
estate
to-
investing without putting money in it? It's like, come on.
Well,
now.
it reminds me of the commercials I used to see. It's been a while with the guy and the boat and the car and the beautiful women. It's like that's kind of not the reputation that I think makes sense for us, and it doesn't really do us any favors.
Right.
I mean, not that you can't make money. Obviously, you want to make money, but that's not really the idea.
No, I mean, because when I started looking at these things, because I think you guys do a great job, and I'll let Dave speak on this, is like for me, we do not necessarily go out after the house, right? Like we go after the investors. So our approach is finding people that have integrity in things like Simple Wholesaling. They bring us the house so then our investors can buy, right? And I think Dave does a little bit differently, even me or Brian here. But for me, it's about getting homes that the numbers work. And one thing I would say is like as wholesaling has grown, I feel like the margins have shrunk, like, you know, if that makes sense or not. But I mean, so it's really important for you as an investor or a wholesaler or a broker to find your niche inside of the marketplace and follow it, right? Like, I don't try to be simple wholesaling. I'm not. I'm a property manager and a broker. And, you know, so I just think that's so important in figuring out your way.
Yeah, we're talking about those margins too and stuff like that. I think we're actually going to get into that next week on next week's show. Basically, kind of the negotiation part, and you have the people that just try to make like $50,000 in every deal, which is never going to happen and stuff. But so yeah, we'll kind of get into that. But yeah, staying in your lanes and sticking to those margins and stuff. But Dave, I did want to ask you, because I know you do a lot of marketing stuff too, as you're trying to find great flip houses. Have you had much experience with like some other things you can do, like spend money, like billboards and car wraps and even radio ads or anything like that?
Well, I mean, obviously the radio show helps in what we try to do. I drove a car that was wrapped. It says we buy houses. That it got us several deals. But what we do is, like Sterling just touched on, we buy from a lot of wholesalers, and that's a good source for us. Number one, I don't want to spend the time, the money, and the follow-up to try to find the transaction. And I don't have a problem if my numbers work. Yeah. It really doesn't matter what I pay. Mm-hmm. I don't even ask what a wholesaler, what'd you pay for this deal?
Right.
Because we get so many investors that are so concerned about who's making money and how much money they're making off of me. Well, that's kind of immaterial to the transaction, right, as long as your numbers work. And one of the things I do with a lot of wholesalers around town is that, here's my bid number, here's my buy number. Go get your deal, and if I can buy it from that, and you make some money on it, that's all well and good. And then what that does for me, it lets a wholesaler maybe take a little lower margin because he knows he can close on the transaction.
Right.
And one of the things that I start concentrating on wholesalers more than I have in the past is, number one, deal flow has dried up a little bit. And I find out that, if a simple wholesaling can bird dog and work with another wholesaler, then, I can too. And, and I buy a lot of off-market stuff. I mean, off-market means that it hasn't been listed yet through a realtor, but I buy a lot of off-market through realtors. That the buyer or the seller don't want to list the house because of condition or certain, there's 100 reasons why people want to sell a house and not go through what they would consider the normal channel.
Building those relationships with agents, other realtors, I think is really important. A lot of times people, when they're in the investing space, they think, oh, I can't really associate with realtors, and they feel like we're battling against each other. And no, they might be, you can't view them as competition. You
take them as away, a flipper in our business, they take away maybe 30, 40, 50% of what kind of business they can get by worrying about what somebody else is making.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm not in the business to flip a house unless I feel I can make some money on it. So why would I expect Brian or Sterling to be in a business that they're not going to make some money? And it's not my position to dictate how much they should or shouldn't make.
That's right.
And so many flippers, especially newbies, they get so wrapped up. Well, simple wholesaling is making $6,000 on that. I think they've only been to 30 days. I just think who are you to decide that? They might have spent $6,000 and hit that.
So we're out of time actually for this segment, hard to believe, but we're going to take another break here and be back for the final segment after this message.
Are you wanting to get started in investing but don't know what to do first? Maybe you took one of the National Guru classes, but you're still confused. Our members are doing business locally, and they remember that they were beginners at one time too. Start by joining the biggest and oldest real estate investment club in Central Indiana. Take our classes and network with people who love what they do and are willing to help you through the startup stage. Check out CIREIA.org. That's CIREIA.org.
Insurance companies say they're going to be there for you when life happens, but the truth is things can get pretty complicated fast when it comes to a personal injury accident. The steps you take after an unexpected crash are crucial. You need help every step of the way. Hey Andy, this is Dave Ramsey. I've been talking about the Randy Sevenish difference for several years now. For 34 years, Randy has helped thousands of people through their worst circumstances. Randy stands as a shield in between you and the insurance company. So even if you've started conversations with the insurance company after an injury accident, talk to Randy Sevenish to make sure you're not leaving money on the table. If you or someone you know has an injury accident, whether you're a pedestrian, passenger, driver, or rider, talk to Randy Sevenish first. Call 317-636-7777 for a no-obligation consultation. Sevenish Law, fierce protectors of the injured. 317-636-7777 or SevenishLaw.com.
And welcome back to the program. My name is Ron Watson with Central Indiana Real Estate Investors Association, and in the studio today we have Dave Short, Brian Snyder, and Sterling Davis. And we're already in our last segment. We've been talking about negotiating. Well, not negotiating yet. We've not got that far, but how do you find deals to begin with? We heard a lot of really good information from Brian. I wanted to get Dave's perspective on some of the things that he's doing that may be similar or even different than what Brian's doing.
We're concentrating a lot more now on wholesalers, working with them and getting their information. And, if you want to be in the flip business and have opportunities to look at, then come to a CIREIA meeting and you'll get on a mailing list of probably 15 to 20 wholesalers that will immediately start sending you a deal flow. And if you look at 20 deals that wholesalers have sent you, you'll find a flip. And the beauty of that is you'll have friends at CIREIA that you can run it by and call us and say, hey, how come, I know you might have saw that deal and, how come you didn't do it? My last meetup was a perfect example. We had a transaction I had bought from Ben Buys Houses, and we looked at it and instantly pulled the trigger, and 3 people at the meeting said, yeah, I was doing my analysis on that. But I pulled the trigger almost instantly on it because I knew it was a transaction, and it let them know how quick you have to react when a wholesaler does put something on the market that's good for everybody.
Yeah.
And just kind of wrapping up, my name's Dave Short, and I'm with Century 21 Sheets. My best way to reach me is my cell number is 317-590-4499, and I will be available, as do the other hosts be. If you have any questions and want to call us right after the show, give us a call.
Thank you very much, Dave. And how about Sterling Davis?
Sterling Davis with Ethosny Property Management. Yeah, similar to what Dave was talking about, I don't necessarily do the things that Brian does. I'm probably closer to what Dave is. And with myself, with over 500 rentals, I have a lot of investors that look to buy hold properties. So I build relationships with people like Simple Wholesaling. So I know specific areas that I've narrowed down that are just great for hold. So when they come up, I'm able to move quickly on them, right? It's no hesitation. So, I think the biggest thing is know your role in the space, right? And my role is as a hold broker, pretty much is what I call it. I want to make sure that my clients are served well, right? So building those relationships with the wholesalers and maybe even doing JVs is very important to it. So Sterling Davis, like Dave said, if you have any questions after the show, you can reach me directly at 888-212-EPMG. My direct extension is 701. That's 888-212-3764, direct extension 701.
Thank you, Sterling. Brian Snyder.
Yeah, so Brian Snyder with Simple Wholesaling. Feel free to reach out to me at any time. My cell number is 740-605-1883, or you can email me just at brian@simplewholesaling.com. And just kind of my tip of the week is if you are, looking to buy houses and you're doing a couple different marketing tools, one of the things I definitely recommend is putting a different number on each type of marketing you're doing. So if you are, like for example, when we are doing direct mail, we're sending out, 7 or 8 different pieces of direct mail. Each one we send out has a different phone number on it. So when there's a callback on that, we're able to track what piece that came from. So we're able to kind of record that data and see how successful each of those pieces can be. One of the things that we use to do that is the system called CallRail. It's fairly inexpensive a month, and we have probably about 45 different numbers that we're using through that we're able to track through CallRail. keep track of data and stuff like that. So whatever different marketing pieces you're using, I would really recommend just having a different number for each piece, so you know how to analyze that data and know where that deal's coming from, so you know what's successful for you.
That's a great idea. Did you give your contact information, Brian?
I did.
Okay, great. I didn't get a chance to write it down, so I just want to make sure. Hey, so if you've missed previous episodes, you can listen to them on the CIREIA channel on YouTube, or go to CIREIA.club, which is CIREIA.club, and click on the Resources tab for copies of all of our episodes. In June, we're excited to announce that Robin Thompson, a nationally recognized rehab queen, will be at our CIREIA monthly main meeting on Thursday, June 6th, and we'll be holding 2 workshops, a rehab workshop on Saturday, June 15th, and a landlording yourself into wealth workshop on June 16th. These meetings and workshops are open to the public, and you can register at www.cireia.club. Once again, I wanted to thank the Fox 59 digital team for allowing us to record this program in their podcast studios. Thank you all for listening today, and have a wonderful weekend. We hope you join us again next time.